You shipped a retrieval augmented generation app, RAG, and it demos beautifully. But is it actually grounded, or is it confidently making things up? You can't tune what you can't measure. In this video, we compare two ways to score RAG quality in Python: the built-in evaluators in Azure AI Foundry, and rolling your own with the open-source Ragas library. By the end, you'll know which metrics matter, what the Foundry SDK code looks like, the cost and operations trade-offs, and a clear rule for which to reach for. Both tools answer the same question. Given a query, the retrieved context, and the model's answer, how good was it? Azure AI Foundry evaluations ship as the Azure AI Evaluation package. It gives you ready-made evaluators, a managed orchestration loop, and results that log straight into your Foundry project for dashboards and comparison runs. Ragas is a popular open-source framework that does similar scoring, but lives entirely in your own code, with no Azure dependency and no built-in user interface. Same goal, very different operational footprint, which is exactly where the trade-offs start. For RAG, three families of metrics carry most of the signal. Retrieval quality asks whether your search returned the right chunks at all. Groundedness asks whether the answer is actually supported by that retrieved context, which is your direct hallucination check. And relevance asks whether the answer addresses the user's question. Foundry splits these into AI-assisted evaluators, where a judge model scores on a 1 to 5 scale, and classic textual metrics like F1 or BLEU. Ragas exposes a comparable set: faithfulness, answer relevancy, and context precision and recall. The vocabulary differs, but the concepts line up almost 1-to-1. Here's the core loop with the Foundry SDK. You point an evaluator at a model configuration, which is just your Azure OpenAI deployment that acts as the judge. Then you call evaluate, hand it a JSONL file of query, context, and response rows, and pass your project so results get logged. The function runs every evaluator over every row and returns aggregate metrics plus per row scores. Notice the judge is a model you deploy and pay for, so a cheaper deployment lowers eval cost but can make scores noisier. Always check the current docs, because evaluator names and supported metrics change. Architecturally, an evaluation run is its own little pipeline. Your test set of question and answer pairs lives in blob storage or a local file. The evaluate call drives the loop, sending each row to a judge model, typically a G-P-T-4o deployment in Azure OpenAI. The scores stream back and get written into your Azure AI Foundry project, where the portal renders trend lines and lets you diff runs across prompt or retrieval changes. With Ragas, you'd keep the same judge model call, but you own the storage and the visualization yourself. Now the honest trade-offs. Both approaches burn tokens on the judge model, so cost scales with rows times evaluators times answer length. Foundry's win is operational, managed run tracking, portal comparisons, and integration with continuous integration pipelines and online monitoring without you building any of it. The cost is lock-in to the Azure project model and less freedom to tweak the underlying judge prompts. Ragas wins on portability and control. You can run it anywhere, customize metric logic, and swap in non-Azure models, but you inherit all the plumbing, dashboards, and storage as your problem. This is a build versus buy decision more than a quality one. Here's my rule of thumb. If you're already building on Azure AI Foundry and want evaluation wired into your deployment pipeline with minimal effort, reach for Foundry evaluations. The dashboards, run history, and built-in evaluators pay for themselves the moment more than one person needs to read the results. Reach for Ragas when you need a portable, framework-agnostic harness, deep control over metric definitions, or you're running offline experiments in a notebook with no Azure project in the loop. And there's a hybrid, prototype metrics in Ragas, then standardize on Foundry for the shared, repeatable scoreboard. To recap, our G quality comes down to retrieval, groundedness, and relevance. And both Azure AI Foundry evaluations and Ragas can score all three. Foundry buys you managed runs and dashboards at the price of Azure coupling. Ragas gives you portability at the price of building the plumbing yourself. Your concrete next step: take 20 real query and answer pairs from your app, save them as JSONL, and run the GroundednessEvaluator we showed. That single number is your baseline, and every prompt or retrieval change now has something to beat. Check the current Azure docs for the latest evaluator names before you wire it into a pipeline. If this helped, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next video.